Right, so we turn to the question about language. Right, parts of speech, this really is learning. You need to learn what the parts of speech are and what their function is. So if you can work out what something is doing in a sentence and you know which part of speech does that, you'll be able to get it all right. We start with the first sentence. If you've got your pens and your note paper, won't you write down the word and the part of speech? When you deal with the, you're either going to call it a determiner because it determines something. What does it determine? The international average water usage. It's telling us about water usage. Or you're going to call it an article. There are two articles if you use that term in English. There is a, an, the. We use an in front of a vowel in the way that we say the international over here. This is the indefinite article, and this is the definite article. And that's really all you need to know. You can have very peculiar uses of parts of speech, but let's just go with what you would expect in a normal exam. So the international average water usage per day. I'm sure day is really easy. What are we doing? We are naming something. Which part of speech names? It is the noun. What noun is it? It's a common noun because everyday thing. Usage might be a little bit more difficult. Water is telling me about usage. Average is telling me about usage. International is telling me about usage. So they are all describing usage. So the usage, the usage. So this is naming something. The what? The boy, the girl, the pen, the water, the day, the usage. It's naming something. So this is the noun. All right? Water is actually a problem word here, but I have seen in the home language exams, for example, that the examiners will accept an adjective for water usage. It's actually not an adjective, but because it's describing usage and because they are trying to make things simple and direct, the examiners will accept water usage there, water, as an adjective, but it is actually a noun. So again, the memo will reflect both of those possible answers, but you won't ask for it here. Right, second one. We've got a lot of work to do here. Start with the finite verb. What tense are we in? We're in the... Can't hear anybody saying anything. We're in the present tense. How do we know which word tells you present tense? You should have got are, right? So that is your finite verb. What are very protective of their owners? Dogs. This is my subject. I am naming something that is very protective of an owner. I'm naming something, and it's a subject. And subjects in English are nouns or pronouns. So it's a noun. Let me just have one noun. It's a noun. Right, they are protective. What is protective doing in that sentence? Which word is it telling me about? Protective is telling me about dogs. Protective dogs. Therefore, it is an adjective. Oh, and dogs is a common noun. This is a descriptive adjective. When in doubt, most of them are descriptive. Right, descriptive adjective. Right, now what is very telling me about? Is it a very dogs, very are, very protective, very of, very there, very owners? Which word is very telling me about? Can you draw an arrow to the word that very is telling me about? It's telling me about protective. And now we come to the crunch question. Protective, we've established, is an adjective. What words, what parts of speech tell me about adjectives? And that's the problem because we don't learn this. It's an adverb. How do we know? Because adverbs describe adjectives. It's what they do. All right? Most students know that adverbs tell us more about the verb. I am talking, I'm talking, no, I don't like, I was going to say very fast. If I say I run quickly, tells me how I run, it's an adverb. But if I say I'm talking very fast, how am I talking? Fast, adverb. How fast? Very fast, another adverb. Okay, got to do our learning. Right, of. Of is a preposition. There's just no way around of. This is a preposition. All right, so I usually do little sort of quick 30-second call. Write down as many prepositions as you can in 30 seconds. All right. How are you doing? How many have you written? All right, we'll stop. It's less than 30 seconds. What was it? 5. To, for, by, with, from. You need to know your prepositions. These are the little words that English uses to show the relationship between nouns or nouns and pronouns. If I say I'm sitting in front of the camera, in front of is a compound preposition. I'm sitting behind this desk on which I'm writing. Behind is a preposition. I'm sitting on a very tall chair. On is a preposition. I am under the lights. Under is a preposition. It's the relationship between me and the things around me. Those are prepositions. Not all languages have prepositions. So you need to know your prepositions. Little words. Right, they're owners. We actually need to start with owners, even though nobody's asked us to deal with this. What part of speech is owners? We are naming. Dogs are very protective of. Name something. Food, water, I don't know, biltong, bowls, brothers and sisters. I'm naming what the dogs are very protective of. So that's a noun because I'm naming it. There is telling me about the noun. What tells me about a noun in English is an adjective. So there is an adjective, and it is a possessive adjective because it's telling me who's their owners, your, theirs, his, hers. Okay, the next one, I could supply the answer if you weren't so demanding. Right. We've got I and you. And again, this is just straight learning. There isn't any way around it. I and you are pronouns. Pronouns stand for nouns. Pro means on behalf of, for. So I could supply the answer if you weren't so demanding. Maybe this is brother talking to you and you're saying, help me, help me, help me with my organic chemistry. And you're saying, I could supply the answer if you weren't so demanding. And so you're talking to your sister or your little brother. So I is replacing one noun. You is replacing another noun. Therefore, they are pronouns. And what kinds of pronouns they are is personal pronouns. Okay, could supply. You should recognize could as being a modal verb. So this is your finite verb. With one line underneath it like that, I think we can get away with just saying finite verb. I'm not even going to break them up. If, again, this is learning. If is a conjunction. It joins two sentences. It is a subordinating conjunction. Now, if you weren't so demanding, you are demanding. It is telling me about the way that you are behaving. You were demanding. Actually, looking at my colors, I should be using this. You were demanding. That is your finite verb. So is telling me about the finite verb. So is telling me about were demanding. How demanding? So demanding. Easy. What tells me about the verb? The adverb. Right, moving on to plant for the planet. I think plant might give you a little bit of trouble here. What does it mean, plant for the planet? Surely it's somebody saying to you, plant a tree, plant flowers, plant lilies, plant something for the planet, trees particularly. So this is a command. So it is a finite verb. It's telling me what to do in the command form. For is easy. It's over here. Here. So for is your preposition. The is easy. We've already had it. What did we say the was? Either a determiner or an article. Definite article. Planet. What are we doing here? We are naming something. Plant for mother. Plant for the school. Plant for liberty. No, plant for the planet. It is a name, therefore it is a noun. And then we come to the last one. Now be very careful here. I think the easy one is South Africa. We know that this is a noun. What kind of noun? A proper noun. Oh, I keep on forgetting. This is a common noun. So that's a proper noun. Now I know what you're going to do with hope and run. You're going to say verbs. And I'm going to say, but why are you calling them a verb? And you're going to say, because I can hope and run is a doing word. Yes, I know, but. The hope, a run. When we put the or a in front of something, the boy, the pen, the camera, the light, the teacher, the friend, the supporter, like liberty, the sponsor, also like liberty. The or a comes before what? What are all of these? They're all names. They're all nouns because they are names. So, hope is a noun. Run is a noun. So if you say, but can hope be a verb? Of course it can. We hope that things are going to get better in the future. Can run be a verb? Of course it can. The joggers run every morning along the roads. But what you've got to do, if we go right back to where I started with this question, is I said here that you have to know the function of words. And the function is what a part of speech does. What's its job? So a verb has a very different job from a noun. And the easy thing that I keep on saying is the noun names something. I have the hope that everybody has enjoyed the lesson and has learned something from it. When the program ends, I shall run down the stairs and out of the building. This is a verb. This is a noun. Here I am naming something. I have what? I'm naming it. Is it a piece of paper? Yeah, I have a piece of paper. I have the name. Wiledzani V. I have the cartoon. I'm naming something. But if I say that I hope, then that is telling me about the feeling. It has a tense. It has number. It has a subject. It's a verb. So if I say I'm going for a run, I am naming what I'm going for. Am I going for a cup of coffee? No, I'm going for a run. I'm naming it. So that's a noun. Right, so I recognize quite a few of these that we've been doing here. They're off past papers. So this is from first editional language, where you get asked to name parts of speech in that language section. You very seldom get asked this in home language. The way that they ask parts of speech is rather to say, like we had usage. Let me just go to usage. A more typical home language question would be give another noun, which would be use, the use of something. Or give a verb, or give an adjective, useful, or give an adverb, usefully. That's more a home language way of asking parts of speech, is through derivatives. Okay, so I hope that that has helped. Right, let's look at our next question. Right, this is also FAL. Now, what are we doing? Here we've got South Africa. Here we've got many other countries. So what we are doing here is comparing. So we need the comparative form of the adjective. So South Africa is drier. I think the only thing you need to remember was degrees of comparison. And remember, degrees of comparison, if you do Afrikaans, these are your trappe van vergelijking that you do. So all you need to remember is you have the positive, which is dry. Then you have the comparative, which is drier. And then you have the superlative, which is driest. And we go the driest. And the thing to remember is that this is 2 and this is more than 2. So you cannot say the elder of the 3 sisters. You cannot say the eldest of the 2 sisters. So if you have 2, you use the comparative. If you have 2 or more, you use the superlative. And I think that's about it. Okay, all right, this is just a different way of asking derivatives. Remember, we've talked about derivatives before. We said that in primary school, they were generally called word families. So if I say use, useful, usefully, use, those are word families. So this is the way it can be asked in an FAL exam. Calvin is asked to give an. Which one? Shout louder, can't hear, an explanation. Explained is either the past tense or the past participle. Explaining is the present participle, or it could be a gerund. Explanatory is an adjective. So we need a noun. Look, an. We need the noun, and the noun is explanation. Right, let's see what the next one is. Synonym. Right, so what is a synonym? We generally teach this as a word with a similar meaning. To another word. We have an average annual rainfall. I think we're just going to have to go with the obvious one, which is yearly. Annual is from the Latin for a year, yearly rainfall. I wouldn't say year, we have an average year rainfall. Yearly, I think. And all you're doing, really, this is just a vocab question. That's all that this is. Right. Okay. So this is punctuation. So I seem to be saying a lot this evening that you have to learn. You know, it's putting in the hard slog that counts. I think the best way of preparing for all of this is to go through the last 5 years' papers through that language section. So if you are home language, it's that 10-mark question 5. If you are FAL, it's the 20-mark question 5. And I think that's the only way really to prepare. Let's have a look at what the examining panels have been asking over the last 5 years. All right, so why this? This is definitely off a past paper. It's because students don't know whether that thing there is a hyphen or a dash. That's what this is doing in the question paper. It's a hyphen. Now, you've just got to learn this. So a long time ago, the hyphen was just a little mark, and the dash was a much longer mark. You know, you sometimes see this if you cut and paste off the internet. You know how sometimes the dashes come out much longer than you're expecting because they're not that long on your keyboard. Some keyboards have a longer dash. Okay, so then the second thing about the hyphen is that the word in front will go right up to the hyphen, and the word behind will go right up to the hyphen. The dash, the word will be over here, and then there'll be dash, and then there'll be a word over there. All right. Except, of course, I'm about to say that the hyphen can do something else, but anyway, right. The most important use of the hyphen is that it joins words to make a compound word. Now notice here, you just have to name it. This is an FAL paper. In a home language paper, you need to be able to say that it creates a compound word. And home language, can I just give you a little bit of warning? We had everything going beep-ba, beep-ba, beep-ba in your science lesson. So I wanted to a warning. The examiners are beginning not to accept that the hyphen joins words to make a new word. They want the compound word. The hyphen creates a compound word. So they're moving you away from primary school explanations towards more adult explanations. So word of warning. And it joins, it doesn't separate, it joins. It joins two words or more to make a compound word. The second thing that the hyphen can do is it can show that the word goes on. So you get to the end of the line. So this is the end of my page. This is my line. And I want to write competition. And I get hyphen, and I put petition on the next line. Now, another bee-ba, bee-ba, bee-ba. Please just write competition on the next line. I have a colleague who keeps on saying, in the exams, the paper's provided for you. Why are you trying to squeeze things on the end of a line? Because students do the craziest things with the hyphen. Let me show you. They write says, say, s. And what I don't understand is if you had space for the hyphen, why didn't you have space for the s to write says? The second thing is, when you hyphenate, you have to hyphenate between syllables. Now, if you don't know where the syllables begin and end, you're going to get the hyphen in the wrong place and irritate the marker. So just don't take the risk. When you see you can't fit the word onto that line, just put the word on the next line. But having said all of that, I really don't remember seeing this in many exams. This is the one they like to ask, and it comes up often. So clearly even in foul, there it is, know your hyphen. And let's just talk about the dash. I'm not talking here about a pair of dashes. I'm just talking about one dash. The three most common uses of the dash. First of all, it shows a climax. Secondly, it shows a change of thought. And thirdly, it shows an afterthought. Now, I'm not saying that this is all that a dash can do, but those are the three most common uses of the dash. Now, please do not write that the punctuation mark is a pause. It is true that if you are reading out loud, the punctuation is there to help you to try to get the pauses and not just to. I get that. But the primary function of punctuation is to support meaning. And the most important aspect of meaning is tone. And the dash changes the tone. So if I say, I looked up and saw, and I put a dash, I'm going to change the tone. So here am I thinking, I've got an hour, and I look up, oh, 1 minute 36. Do you see, I looked up and saw the time had run out. This would be a climax, and it would show my shock, horror. Oh my gosh, I thought I had so much time, and I don't. So it changes the tone. It could be, I looked up and saw, and by the way, I've only got 11 seconds. That's an afterthought. But again, it changes the tone. It becomes more casual. Oh, just by the way, blah, 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 blah. All right? Or it could be an afterthought. I looked up and saw the time. And by the way, it's an afterthought. I'm adding something, but you hear I'm changing the tone again. So please don't write a punctuation mark is for a person to pause for breath. Please don't. Please don't. It's got functions beyond that.